Hello and welcome to a GodIsAGeek.com preview. My name's Adam Cook and I'm joined here by Christopher White.
Hello.
How are you, Chris, all right?
I'm good, man. Yeah, not too bad.
Good. You've been playing a game on PC that, I'll be honest with you, mate, I was a little bit in the dark about. I don't remember seeing the announcement for Grid Legends, if I'm honest with you. And I keep forgetting that EA have bought Codemasters. So the one thing I was taken back by when I had a look at some of the video of the game you've been playing is, my word, this looks spicy in a good way, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that didn't take me by surprise, because Codemasters is a fantastic developer when it comes to racers. But it looks stunning, and there's a lot of detail. I mean, we'll get to the driving, but the actual the scenery and whatnot, like the different locations, are just so unique to their plate. Like London, for example, bustling streets. You got Big Ben in the background. It's very familiar if you've been to London, which I'm sure a lot of listeners have. And it just looks great, and like the attention to detail just in the people watching the races. Like there's paramedics, there's all your fans and that, and there's just very, very kind of pretty. And then you've got another new location in Italy. Is the Strada Alpina, which is obviously amongst them like a mountainous backdrop. And there's different kind of locations within this place, like there is with London. You're not just in one setting. It's like around Parliament, around Westminster, and like with the Alpines, it's like through the fields and that, and then there's like little towns and stuff. But then there's loads more on top of that. There's Moscow, there's Barcelona is returning, America. So the visuals of the environments are great, and the tracks are all very diverse. And then the cars themselves, I mean, in this build there were 12 cars on offer.
Okay.
Which there's going to be loads more.
Yeah.
But stuff like the Aston Martin Valkyrie Pro concept, which is just a beast. Like it's so fast. But I think that kind of leads in nicely to how it plays, because obviously racers, if they don't play particularly well,
it doesn't matter how good they look.
Exactly.
It's interesting because you mentioned obviously the visuals we talked about, but I think a lot of the most recent racing games I've played have been kind of almost like the Forza Horizons, the open worlds, and I think I forgot that when you do just scale it back a bit to being like, this is a racetrack that has been built for this. Of course, more detail can go into that, but speaking of Forza Horizon, something I feel they get really spot on in Horizon for me is how the cars feel. Because it's not a sim, but it's also not quite an arcade racer. With Grid Legends, where are we on that spectrum? Like, what sort of side do we fall on? Is it sim? Is it arcade?
So, I have mentioned that Forza Horizon 5 is a very similar game. Grid Legends feels like Forza to me. It's not quite sim.
Great news for me, mate. Great news for me.
Well, that's the thing, because that's why I kind of fell in love with it straight away, is because no matter the car, it doesn't take too long to get to grips with it. There are other games out there.
I should ask, although I hear what you're saying, but just for people who are like massively into their cars, do the cars at least, do they still feel distinctive, if that makes sense?
Yes, yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Just I know that people will be like, well, I don't want them all to feel the same.
Oh no, they don't feel the same. They do feel different. Like I said, the Aston Martin is obviously very fast. It's not built for drift, but the corners are sharp. The corners feel tight when you're going around them. And then you've got the other cars, like there's a Mazda for like drifting. It's been drift tuned for drifting around courses, and like that feels amazing especially when you take part in like the drift challenges. Yeah, because there's different disciplines in this game. Like you've got your elimination, which is every 2 minutes the last two cars of the race will get eliminated. Yep. Until obviously till the last one person wins. You've got straightforward circuit racing, which is your 3 laps around the course. You've got your head-to-head, multi-class, obviously different cars in one race. So there's a lot there. So you've got your standard like range of cars, and then you've got things like the trucks, which are obviously very powerful beasts on the track, and they're fun to control because they make the Nemesis system, which has been implemented in Grid Legends, which I'm fairly sure a racing game hasn't done this yet. I might be
I'm
wrong.
not sure anyone's done
whether
that
it's
since...
whether it's the Nemesis system.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
yeah.
it's called the Nemesis System.
Oh,
So
sorry.
essentially-
So it is actually called the Nemesis System.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
when you... Because obviously I read your preview before it went live. I assumed you were referring... You know how, like, when people talk about, like, the active reload in Gears, it's not called active reload in another game, but this is actually called the Nemesis System.
Well, when the preview, they mention it being the Nemesis System.
Oh, wow.
So whether that's the official name, that's what they've called it.
I mean,
So
it's
whether-
not copywritten, I suppose. It's just
No,
a word, isn't it?
But it is the Nemesis System. A
Oh,
very
right,
different
okay.
style of game. Like,
Very.
obviously, because if you have played Shadow of War or whatnot, the Nemesis System's incredible. So as it fits into this, when you're racing around a track, there's obviously 21 other AI racers. If you're playing, on your own, if you kind of start knocking into one racer as you're going around, they start getting a bit annoyed with you. So they'll like, it'll kind of say rival found or something like along those lines, and then as you're going around, that person will try and do the same to you. So you do create a bit of a rivalry. And the tracks in the preview, there wasn't a load because they were custom created for the preview, but it'll be interesting to see, when there's more laps going on in a race or in the story mode, which I haven't seen yet, how these rivalries work. But they create like individual stories within the races themselves, much like Shadow of War did with different orcs and stuff. So
sounds a bit like in a shooter when someone kills you like 5 times as well, and you're like, what's the word they use? Like, it's not Nemesis in there, is it? But it's that kind of thing of this person's dominating you almost.
Yeah, it is, and it's a nice little addition because it feels great. It does. The cars do feel different, but it adds like a nice. It's different to other races because you don't really get that that kind of custom-made rivalry.
Sounds like a natural story instead of them trying to sort of force some sort of overarching narrative, I guess. Like, it sounds like the story will develop, your relationships. I'm being a bit over. You know what I mean? Like,
Your the other races, you'll start to. I mean, hopefully, you start to recognise them in the races after, and you're like, oh, great. Well, I had a bit of trouble with them in the last one. I wonder if they're going to kick off in this one. So it's a nice little addition.
Sounds cool.
Go down well with it.
Yeah. You can read the full preview, obviously, on godisageek.com. But where does this because, like I say, I started this video by saying I like racing games, but I honestly don't remember when this was announced. So where does it sit for you right now? Like, how are you feeling about this game? Like,
well, I'm like you, to be honest, mate. It wasn't on my horizon, to be fair. And now I've played this preview. I'm actually quite excited for February.
Was it February? Excellent.
It's February. It was announced a few days ago, actually. February the 28th.
Yes, of course it was. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily look forward to races unless it's something like Forza.
Yeah.
But, like, I am quite keen to play more of this.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll say you can go and read Chris White's preview on godisageek.com, and of course go there anyway because that's where you want to be. Chris, thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
And everyone else, will see you in the next video or whenever you choose to watch us. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.